Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome to another integrated science class. Today we will be continuing on our topic, detecting the environment. And as you know, we would have mentioned detecting the environment has a lot to do with our senses. Now, let's get into our lesson. Now, before we begin, I would like you to observe this picture for 1 minute and then tell me what you would have observed. Good. I trust that everyone would have observed the picture. Now, can you tell me what is going on in the picture? You see people eating food, rather children. They're not people, they're children. Now, which one of our senses is this associated with? Taste. Very good, Susan. Thank you for that. So today we will be looking at taste. And taste involves our tongue. So we will be looking at the tongue. Objectives of our lesson. Before we begin, we must look at our objectives. Our objectives for today's lesson is to define the tongue, state the importance of the tongue, identify the 5 basic types of taste. Yes, you heard me right, 5 basic types of taste. Describe how taste is detected. So by the end of the lesson, you will be able to say what is the tongue, the importance of the tongue. You will be able to list the types of taste and say how we detect taste. Let's begin. Now, what is the tongue? The tongue is the fleshy muscular sense organ in our mouth. Alright, so the tongue is in our mouth and it is a fleshy muscular organ. Now, what does the tongue consist of? The tongue consists of mucous membrane. This is what causes the tongue to feel slippery when we feel it. A papillae. This is what causes the tongue to feel rough upon touch. And taste buds. This is what allows us to differentiate between sweet, sour, bitter, salty, and so on. Next, we have, what are papillae? Papillae are small, nipple-like structure on the upper surface of the tongue that gives it the characteristic of feeling rough. And I would have said that earlier. What are taste buds? Now, taste buds are clusters of bulbous nerve endings on the tongue and in the lining of the mouth, which provides a sense of taste. So now, we do not only have taste buds on our tongue, but we will have it in the lining of our mouths, like on our cheeks. Now here is a diagram showing you where the taste buds are located, which are on the side of the papillae. And the taste buds consist of taste spores, and these taste spores collect the molecules of food in our mouth and send it through nerve endings to our brain, so our brain can tell us what we are eating. Next, we have the importance of the tongue. Now, what is the purpose of the tongue? Right? So the tongue is important because it is responsible for tasting, licking, aiding in swallowing, and the articulation of speech. Now, when I say the articulation of speech, I mean the tongue assists us in talking. If we do not have a tongue, we cannot speak clearly. The most you would be able to do is make sounds, but we won't have any words coming out. the types of taste. Now, as I mentioned earlier, and you looked at me very funny when I said there are 5 basic types of taste, and these tastes are sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami. Now, our sweet taste is known as the pleasure taste because when we would eat ice cream, we would feel good. If we were to taste something sour, our mouths would pucker because it is sour, and sour foods are that of lime. Now, salty would be like if you're eating potato chips, and bitter, it would be like Caramello. And our bitter taste bud is associated with the toxic taste. It means that we would say, that is not good for us. We shouldn't be eating that. But that is not true because we still eat Caramello even though it is bitter. And the umami taste is where we would have something savory or something fleshy like fish. Now I have a picture here showing you the tongue and the different parts of the tongue and what it tastes. So at the back on the gray area we have the bitter taste buds. On the sides, both sides in the yellow, we have the sour taste buds. Both sides in the green, we have the salty, and to the front in the blue-green shade, we have the sweet taste. Now, there is a very large pink area there that is not labeled, and that area is where we taste the umami taste, where we detect the umami taste. Now, detecting taste. I'm sure you are wondering, how do we taste stuff? You know we use our tongue to taste, but how do we taste stuff? Now here I have a video to tell you exactly. Okay students, here I have a video to show you how we detect taste. Now, pay keen attention.
Sense of taste. Your favorite, isn't it? Humans have a very developed sense of taste. We love to eat varied flavors. We are also the only living things that artificially flavor and cook our food to enhance its taste, aren't we? We can detect these flavors thanks to the taste buds on our tongues. Let's take a closer look at your tongue. Can you guess how many taste buds we have on our tongues? Not even close. We have around 100,000 taste buds located on the front and back of our tongue. Okay, now guess this. How many tastes can your tongue detect? Wrong again. Actually, there are only a few basic tastes that can be detected by our buds, mainly being salty, sweet, bitter, sour, and umami. Confused by umami? It means meaty or savory, as in fish or ripe tomatoes. When you eat something, the saliva in your mouth breaks down the food, and the taste buds sense the basic tastes. This message is sent to the brain, which then detects the right flavor.
Good, I trust that you would have found that video very informative and enjoyable, maybe a little funny, but nonetheless enjoyable. So here I have a paragraph breaking down what was explained in the video. Now, you can find this paragraph among your notes in our Google Classroom. Now, wrapping up our lesson for today, we must recap what we would have learned. So we would have learned that what is the tongue, and we said that the tongue is the fleshy muscular sense organ located in our mouth. Next, we would have learned the function of the tongue, and we said the function of the tongue is for allowing us to taste, lick, swallow, and articulate speech, which means to help us talk. We would have learned the 5 different types of taste, which is sweet, sour, bitter, salty, and umami. And we would have watched that video as well as prepared a paragraph on how we taste. So now that we would have covered everything in relation to the tongue, I have an activity for you to complete. Now this activity entails you drawing and labeling the parts of the tongue. However, this picture is not very clear, but you can find a clear version of this picture in our Google Classroom. So I would like you to draw and label the parts of the tongue and take a picture of your work and send it to me so I can mark it. After we would have done this, we will have further reflection of today's work, where you will collect your homework. Okay? Your homework is also located in the Google Classroom, and it entails you listing the types of taste we would taste when we have the various foods on the worksheet, whether it be sweet, sour, salty, bitter, or umami. You will also be labeling the parts of the tongue again, just to make sure that you would have grasped the parts of the tongue, as well as answering a few short questions. Now, I'd like to say thank you for participating in today's class, and I will see you in our next integrated science class.